Hi everyone, welcome back. In today's tutorial, I'll show you how to make a summer hat using raffia yarn. So for this project, I'm using the Ispie Raffia and craft color. So this raffia is, when you spread it out like this, it's about 3 centimeters wide. And for me, I find this one quite soft and like silky. It's very easy to work with. And we're using hook 3.5. So raffia is quite a unique material. It's very lightweight and hold shape very well, make it perfect for summer hat. So when working with raffia, you might need to spread it out a little bit. Sometimes at the middle of the row, the yarn might become very small, and you just need to like spread it out a little bit like this, and your hat will look much nicer. Okay, so the hat size tutorial. Okay, so the hat size in this tutorial is 56 centimeters, which fits most adults. So if you like to make a larger or smaller hat, just keep watching. I'll show you how to adding or reducing the increased row. And also keep in mind that everyone's tension is different. So even if you use the same yarn and the same hook, you still might end up with having a different size of the hat. So just take your time and do the test and adjust the stitch count to achieve your hat size. Okay, so let's get started. So we're going to start by making a magic ring first. So wrap the yarn into your finger and hold it with your 2 fingers. So you will have your end tail on the right and at the back, and your working tail on the left and in the front. And hold this junction with your 2 fingers. Insert your hook through the loop and yarn over. Now you can release your fingers. So to start, you're going to make 1 chain and do not count this one as a stitch. So in this magic ring, do 8 single crochet and mark the first single crochet. And 8 single crochets. Now pull this end tail tightly to close the loop. Okay, so for the top of the hat, we will use the single crochet spiral technique. So basically, you're not going to do the slip stitch to end the row, and also you don't need to do the chain stitch to start the new row. Instead, we're going to directly do the single crochet into this marker here to start the new row. So if we use the normal slip stitch and chain 1 method to end the row, you see here, you can see the line here. It's quite visible from the top. This is where like in traditional way we do the slip stitch and the chain 1. But if you do the spiral technique, you will see the top of the hat is very nice. It's like a perfect circle. Okay, so come back to our work. So here you're going to do a single crochet directly into this marker. And I also bring this end tail so you can hide it with your work. So yarn over and do a single crochet. And always remember to mark. This is going to be the first stitch of the second row. So always remember to mark the first stitch. Otherwise, it's going to be very hard for you to know when the row will start. Okay, so for this second row, we will do 8 single crochet increases. So basically, you're going to do 2 single crochets into the same space 8 times. So we we already did one single crochet here, so we're going to do one more single crochet into the same space. Insert your hook into that same space and do another single crochet. So you finished one increase. Now repeat the increases across the other stitches. So at the end of this row you should have 16 stitches. Just bring the end tail with you so you can hide it. Okay, so this is the last stitch. I'm going to do 2 single crochet here. Okay, so now if you count the stitches backward, you're going to see that we have 16 stitches. 10, 12, 14, 16, including the one that we mark. So we finished row 2. For row 3, we're going to do a pattern of 1 single crochet and then 1 single crochet increase across the 3rd row. So we're going to do 1 single crochet into this marker, and again, please remember to mark this first one. Okay, so you've done 1 single crochet in the first stitch. Now do 1 single crochet increase in the second stitch. Okay, so you finish one pattern and repeat 1 single crochet, then 1 single crochet increase. And repeat it. So at the end of this row you should have 24 stitches in total. So the last stitch before the marker should be where you have 1 increase. Okay, so finished row 3. For row 4, it's going to be a little bit different. So row 4, you will add 6 stitches. You will have 6 increase instead of 8. So you're going to do a pattern of 3 single crochets and then 1 increase, and repeat it 6 times. Okay, so you're going to do a single crochet into the marker and mark it. Now you did already 1 single crochet. Now do 2 more single crochet. So you have 3 single crochet, and now do the next one going to be a single crochet increase. So that is one pattern. It is work over 4 stitches. So repeat it 6 times. And at the end of this row, you should have 30 stitches in total. The last stitch of row 4 should be an increase. Okay, so at the end of this row, you should have 30 stitches in total. For row 5, we're going to do a pattern of 4 single crochets and then 1 increase, and repeat it 6 times. But instead of doing like 4 single crochet and then 1 increase, we're going to split the 4 stitches into 2 single crochet here, 2 single crochet into these 2 first stitch, and then 1 increase, and then do a pattern of 4 single crochet and then 1 increase. The reason is because we want to spread the increases evenly around the circle. In this way you won't have a perfect round instead of having corners. If you stack the increases directly on top of each other, you will end up having a circle that have like corners. Okay, so here, do 1 single crochet into this marker, and put the marker back in, and do another single crochet into the next stitch, and do 1 increase in the next stitch. Okay, so now you're going to do 4 single crochet, and do 1 single crochet increase in the next stitch. So repeat the pattern of 4 single crochet and then 1 increase. So you will have 1 increase here, and then the last 2 stitches going to be a single crochet. So that should be correct. So 2 single crochet before the marker. That row 5. For row 6, we're going to add increase 6 stitches, and the pattern going to be 5 single crochet and then 1 single crochet increase. So do 1 single crochet into the marker, and then put the marker back in. So do 5 single crochet, single crochet include the one that we mark, and then the next stitch gonna be an increase, and then repeat the pattern until the end of the row. So the last stitches before the marker should be an increase. So the last stitch for row 5 before the marker should be an increase. So here you should have 42 stitches in total. Now we're going to start row 7. Row 7, the pattern going to be 3 single crochet, 1 increase, then 6 single crochet, and then 1 increase, and then 6 single crochet, 1 increase across until the end. We will split 3 single crochet after the marker, and then 1 increase, and then you're going to have 3 single crochet before the marker. So do 1 single crochet into the marker and put the marker back. Okay, so that 1 single crochet, now do 2 more to make 3 single crochet. Okay, so you have 3 single crochet. Now do 1 increase. Okay, so after this first increase, you're gonna do 6 single crochet and then 1 increase, and then repeat it until the end of the row. So at the end of this row, you should have 48 stitches in total. And like before the marker, you should have 3 single crochet and then 1 increase here. After you make the last increase, you should have 3 single crochet before the marker. So that row 7. For the 8th row, so here you're going to do 7 single crochet and then 1 increase. Make 1 single crochet and then put the marker back on. Now do the pattern of 7 single crochet and then 1 increase. So you already did 1 single crochet here, so do 6 more. Okay, so you have 7 single crochet. Now do 1 single crochet increase in the next stitch. Okay, and then repeat the pattern until the end of the row. So you should have 1 increase in the stitch, in this stitch before the marker, and that should be correct. Okay, so the last stitch of row 8 should be an increase. So at the end of row 8, you should have 54 single crochets. So continue making the increases as in the pattern in similar way, and I'll see you after you finish row 12. So when working with raffia, it's totally normal if your work look a little bit uneven and a little bit curly like this. At the end, we will do a little bit of seam ironing, and it will make a huge difference to your work. So after a few rows making in the circle, if your work look like a bow like this, it means that your crochet hook might be too small, or like you work too tight on your hand. Okay, so we finished row 12, and at the end of row 12 you should have 78 stitches. So at the end of this row, the diameter of the hat, top hat, should be like around 15 centimeter. Okay, so the next row, row 13, we're gonna do 78 single crochet along without increasing. So you just do single crochet in every single stitch. Like the first one, and then mark the first stitch. Also, I will show you in case you lost the marker or it fell off and you really don't know where is the start of the row. I'll show you how you can pick up this first stitch. If you see, the first row that we did here is like a perfect circle, and this strand here is where we start the first stitch of the second row. So if you go straight up and trace it row by row, at the end you can find your first stitch of the current row, in case that you lose this marker. Okay, so in this row, just make single crochet along without adding stitches. And I'll see you at the end of the row. So for row 14, we're gonna continue adding 6 stitches to the row. So according to the pattern, we will have 2 more increase row. So make the 1 single crochet into the marker and then put the marker back on. For this one, we're going to do 6 single crochets and then 1 increase, and then 12 single crochet and then 1 increase. So here we do 6 single crochet first before we do the increase. That's 6, and then you make 1 increase, 6 single crochet, and then 1 increase, and then next you're going to have 12 single crochets and then 1 single crochet increase, and then at the end of the row you should have 1 increase and then 6 single crochet until the marker. So I'll see you at the end of this row. Okay, so we finished row 14. For row 15 you're gonna do 84 single crochets along without increasing, so do 1 single crochet in every single stitch. Okay, so that row 15. So row 16 will be the last increase row, and after row 16 you should have 80 stitches. So for row 16 you're going to do a pattern of 13 single crochet and then 1 increase and repeat it 6 times. So make 13 single crochet and then 1 increase. When working with the raffia, the most important thing is to make sure that your tension is consistent. 13 single crochet and then 1 single crochet increase, and then repeat it until the end of the row. So the last stitch before the marker should be 1 increase. Okay, so at this stage it's very important to measure the size of the hat. Make sure that it will fit your hat. So use a measuring tape and measure along the edge of this row. So I want to make the hat size of 55 to 56 centimeter. This is my hat circumference. So if after this row the size is still smaller than your hat circumference, you can just increase the size by adding more stitches. That's how we did in the previous row until you get the desired size. And please note that after this row, when you do the body of the hat, it will stretch a little bit more. So you can add, just get the measurement of this one. Let me see. Okay. So this one I got the size of 55, which is good. And after you crochet the body, it will scratch a little bit, like maybe 1 or 1.5 centimeter more. So if you have a big hat and want to increase the size, just do another row where you can increase 6 more stitches. Okay, so now you can start making the body of the hat. And for the next 3 rows, row 17 to row 19, you're going to do single crochet along the row without increasing or decreasing. So make 90 single crochets along in every single stitch. I'll see you when you finish 3 rows for the body of the hat, and we're going to start making the lace pattern. Okay, so you finished row 19. You can see the top of the hat will look like this. So now we're going to make the lace pattern on the hat body. So we will make 6 rows of the patterns, and each pattern will be worked on 2 rows. So you've got 3 lace pattern on 6 rows, and then you're going to do a couple more rows for the body. Then you're going to do the same pattern for the brim. Okay, so when you finish the last stitch of row 19, To start the lace pattern, we're going to do the normal slip stitch and chain stitch to start the row. We're not going to do the spiral anymore. So you can see there's some high difference here because we do a spiral. So now you're going to do a couple of slip stitch to reduce that high difference, and make one slip stitch and then make another one. So 2 slip stitch before you start the lace pattern. So for the lace pattern, each pattern will work on 2 stitches, so you will need an even number of stitches for this row. So we'll start by making 3 chains. So this will be counted as a double crochet. Use a marker to mark the 3rd chain stitch. The pattern would be 1 double crochet and 1 long single crochet. So now we're going to do 1 long single crochet into the stitch before this one. Okay, so this will be the stitch where we start. So you're going to do a long single crochet into the previous one, that one here. Just insert your hook into that one and then pull it. So if you want to make that long stitch look nicer and fuller, just spread this raffia, spread this yarn before you pull the loop. So insert your hook, yarn over, make a long stitch, and then yarn over. So you finished one pattern. So now to look carefully, so this stitch here is where we start the chain stitch. So now to start the next pattern, we're going to work, so we're going to skip 1 stitch and you're going to insert your hook into the second one, this one, and make a double crochet. So pay attention, this one already have the chain stitch, so do not work on this one. Skip 1 and work on the second one and make a double crochet. Then spread the yarn a little bit and we're going to do a long single crochet into the stitch in between here and pull it. So you will have the same height with the double crochet. Okay, so now do a double crochet. So skip 1 stitch and do a double crochet into the following one. And spread the yarn a little bit and then do a long stitch. Okay, so you can continue working around, and you should have, because you have 90 single crochet in the previous row, so in this row you should have 45 pattern, lace pattern. Okay, skip 1, do a couple crochet into the second one. Just spread the yarn and pull a long stitch. If you can make this one, make it big like this, your long stitch will look better. And that's also the beauty of the raffia yarn. and make sure it doesn't twist. Okay, so I see you when you finish this row. So I'm doing the last lace pattern here on the last 2 stitches. Okay, so you're gonna do a slip stitch into the marker to finish this row. You can pull it tight to close the loop. Okay, so from now to the end, we're gonna do the normal slip stitch and chain 1 to start the row. We're not gonna do the spiral crochet anymore. So the next row, we will do single crochet along. So we'll do 90 single crochets in every single space. So make 1 chain, and you're gonna do a single crochet into the same space where you did the slip stitch, and make a single crochet. You can mark the first one. And now the second single crochet, you can see the V loop here. This is where you make the first long stitch. So make a single crochet into that loop. It's the second single crochet, and then just make single crochet along until the end of the row. So when you finish this row, just make a slip stitch and then repeat the pattern, repeat the lace pattern. So 1 lace pattern and 1 row of single crochets, and then another lace pattern, single crochet, and another lace pattern. And then you're going to do a couple of single crochet row. So all this part here, the number of stitch doesn't change. It's only 90 single crochet. After the 3rd lace pattern, I have complete 5 single crochet row for the body of the hat, and the measure from the top of the hat to here is about 18 centimeter. You can adjust the size of the you can adjust the height of the hat by like adding more rows or making less row in this part. Now we're gonna make the brim. So the first row here, you're gonna increase stitches for the brim. So for the brim, we will have 4 lace pattern, and you're gonna have from this one 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8 9, and this one 10 rows in totals. Okay, so for the first single crochet row of the brim, we're gonna increase 18 stitches. So you will have a pattern of 4 single crochet and then 1 increase. So let's make a single crochet and do not count this one as a stitch, and then you're going to do 4 single crochet. If the body of your hat have more stitches than 90 stitches as I did here, you can calculate the number of the single crochet before you do the increase. Okay, so 4 single crochet and then do 1 single crochet increase, and repeat this pattern 18 times until the end of the row. So the last stitch here going to be an increase. So you will have, at the end of this row, you will have 108 stitches. Okay, so the last stitch is going to be a single crochet increase, and you're going to do a slip stitch into the first stitch. And pull it tight. Now we're going to do a row of the lace pattern. So start with 3 chains and put the marker on the 3rd chain. So this lace pattern row, you're going to crochet across the 108 stitches without adding stitches. So and we're going to do a long stitch to spread the yarn a little bit, and we're going to go insert the hook into the stitch before this chain stitch on the right of the chain stitch and pull it. Pull the yarn through. So that is one pattern. Now we're going to do a double crochet into the, so skip 1 stitch and do double crochet into the 2nd stitch. Similar way to the lace pattern that we did for the body of the hat. Just spread the yarn, oops, and then insert it into the stitch in between here. So each lace pattern is worked on 2 stitches. So when you increase the stitches for this lace pattern, make sure that you have an even number of stitches. Okay, so that's the last stitch of the 2nd row of the brim. I do a slip stitch into the marker. And I make 1 chain and do not count this one as a stitch. Now we're going to do a single crochet row, and in this row you will increase 12 stitches, and the pattern going to be 8 single crochet and then 1 increase. So make 1 single crochet in the 1st stitch and make 8 single crochets. You can mark the first one. Okay, so that's 8 single crochet, and I'll do a single crochet increase. And I repeat it until the end of the row. So the last stitch here should be an increase. That should be correct. So at the end of this row, you should have 120 stitches in total. I finished all the 4 lace pattern, and the method is similar to how you make the first and the second one, and you can follow the pattern on the screen for the 3rd and the 4th row. So we have 1 more row to finish the hat, and in this row we will work across 138 stitches as well, not adding stitches to this row. And for this ending row, you're going to do a reverse single crochet. So make 1 chain, and again, to make this row look nicer, you can spread the yarn, make 1 chain, and we're going to go backward, so do a reverse single crochet on the other side. So just bring your hook into the stitch before that one, insert the hook from the front to the back, and then wrap the yarn and straighten it, and then yarn over that 1 stitch, and then again I'm going to work backward to this side. Make sure the yarn is open. Just pull it straight like this. So for this row, you can have a lighter, like have a looser tension, so your hat, so it doesn't like curl up. Just loosen your tension a little bit. It doesn't need to be too tight. Okay, so continue until the end of the row. So you see this space here is the first stitch of the row where you have the slip stitch, and this should be the last one. So you're going to do reverse single crochet into both of them. Okay, so the last reverse single crochet is in the first stitch here. And then insert your hook into the first reverse crochet that you did, the space where you did the first one here, this one, and then do a slip stitch, just slip through, and then pull this loop tightly. And you can make another slip stitch and also pull it tight, and then we can cut the yarn. So to make the hat look nicer, we can iron the hat with a steam iron. So this is how it will look like after ironing. It will look much more like smoother. So to iron raffia, it is recommended that you use a wet towel like this and cover the hat before you steam iron it, so it doesn't like damage the yarn. You can have like a towel or some clothes to insert into the hat, and then you can just the towel, have wet towel on top, and then you can iron it, steam iron it. In that way, you're not going to damage the yarn. And use the iron in a very low temperature. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoy the tutorial, and you can make beautiful hats from the raffia yarn. Thank you.